Hello, and welcome to DWTT. I'm Gary, and today we're going to be talking about I think it's a fourth round match against Southampton in the FA Cup event. And, yeah, well, here we go. So I've changed things up a little bit in my five. I'm still going to list out five players, but one of the things that I thought I would do is I'll take a look at what I think would be the five that may have to stand out for us today that I'm going to highlight during the game, and then see how they do at the end. But then also look at the five players or or people on the field that made a difference in this game. So when I was looking at the lineup, which is where things started, and from there it didn't go so well, as you know. I looked at the lineup, and I saw, Gabriel was in there, so I was looking forward to seeing the whole Gabriel holding combination. How would that look today? Martinelli was back, so that was good to see him out there. The front line of William, Pepe, and Nketiah, they're all looking to be part of the rotation. This is a good game for them to make a case for that. Otherwise, you had, Cedric and Bellerin's on the, your wing backs, I guess. you know. So we'll see how Cedric does on the left hand side. See if he can spell Kieran Tierney whenever he needs a rest. And in the middle, we've got Nini and Xhaka. So that that is a combination that it's not our best, of course, and probably is not even our second best. But we'll see if they could be solid today. Leno and back in goal, I think that was okay. Maybe we thought Ryan would get a play. Some people said he would. But he didn't. The subs on the bench still. You got one of the surprising things you saw there is Runarsson and Brian both on there. Why you have two goalies? Not sure. We're not going to use both of them, so that was kind of strange. I believe I heard Willock may have gotten hurt. Not Willock, Nelson may have gotten hurt during warm-ups, and that's why they made a change. But a change to a goalie doesn't make any sense to me. Who do they bring on, Runarsson or Ryan? I don't know. You've got Saka and Lacazette and Partey that kind of stood out on the bench as far as players they could bring in to make things change. No Mills-Smith Rowe, so that was interesting. No Saka, I believe, or did Saka? Yeah. So yeah, I don't believe so. Did Saka play? I don't believe so. But yeah, just sorry, Saka, Lacazette, and Partey were the three. Sorry. But otherwise, no Mills-Smith Rowe, which is kind of interesting because that might be the one player we might need. All right, so that's kind of how the lineup looked to me. And when I thought about it, the five players that I thought might have to make a difference for us today based on the lineup was Leno, Holding, Gabriel, Martinelli, and Pepe. Leno, just because I figured, the way we were structured, we probably weren't going to get much opportunity to score, and we're gonna need him to be at his top back there. Holding and Gabriel, kind of the combination of those two. Holding being on good form, it seemed from the last couple of games, and being someone that seems to have hold down a spot, I believe, on the right hand side of that center back pairing. So needed him to be good today, with Gabriel coming back from being out for a while, with having the red card and then having COVID, keeping him out for about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's kind of been you know it was good to have him back, and hopefully, we get to see if he can dust off some of the rust to see how things go. And Martinelli getting back on the field was great to see, and see if he had exactly the same energy that he brought. So kind of wanted that, especially with the two games we have coming up. And last but not least, or maybe least, who knows, Pepe. Expected to see him come in and maybe try to fight for his spot. That's essentially what he's got going on here. Many think his days are done with Arsenal, but we'll see how the going goes. So, so then the game happens, and now after the game, you get to review everything and see how my original five looked. Leno, I thought was pretty solid throughout the game. He made some good stops like he usually does. Some shots that I think Southampton would have thought they would have been able to get past him, but he was able to stop them. But he just wasn't able to stop his own player from getting the ball past him, which is kind of how they scored. And that started a little bit further on before the shot on goal, but he wasn't able to make that stop. I always say that a player needs to make that stop. He did make some in the game, but he wasn't able to make that one. I don't think that goes on him at all. I think if Gabriel hadn't touched it, he probably would have been able to get his hand on it and stop it. So, so in all, Leno looked okay. Holding, yeah, during the watch along, it was brought up. Guess what? He just got his 4-year contract, and so did he take a dip? It looks like that's exactly what happened. He got his new 4-year contract, started playing. Did he get too big of himself? I'm not sure. But today was just not a good day for him. We needed him to be at his best, and I don't believe we got that. Um, when he played with Marie and Louise, he looked pretty good. But today, not so much. Gabrielle really needed him to be at his best coming back from being out, and it just wasn't meant to be. He had an opportunity to score once again from a cross, I think a cross coming in or a corner coming in, and the header, I don't know if he misjudged it or not, but it did. It came to him, fell to his feet, and he punched it over the goal from probably about 4 or 5 feet away from the goal. Um, those are the ones that he needs to be able to get in. I mean, I think if you put any player in that situation, they'll tell you that they should score, and he didn't, and that's what we needed. We needed something from somewhere. When Gabriel first came back, where he scored on a header, wasn't perfect, but it did go in, and we count it. Holding had an opportunity to do that on Gabriel's return back from being out, and it just didn't work out. Next up is Gabriel. If you look at my notes, you'll see that I like to use the word UGH, UGAH, UGHHH. A couple of times you'll see that on my Twitter page. That's actually what I said. That was basically after his first touch, even though he never touched it. Leno passes the ball to him outside, and don't know what he was doing, but he kind of let the ball get between his legs, and it rolled out for a throw in to Southampton. Yeah, he looked rusty. He looked rusty pretty much for parts of the game. I think he started to come into his own, but that was probably after the own goal that he scored. Otherwise, I mean, I think he needed some time. I would have liked to have seen him probably play in the previous games when he was on the bench to kind of get some of that rust out and not have to do that in the game. I mean, talking talking about Rusty, he's got a little, a little. I guess he dyed his hair a little bit or bleached it or whatnot. And it looks a little rusty, and that's the way his play was today. All right. Next up, also in my pregame 5, who was Martinelli. I expect him to come out and play like he usually does, and he did. He did. He had a lot of energy. Just because he lost the ball didn't mean he couldn't go back and track back and get it, and he did that time and time again. He did have one big opportunity where a cross from Willian came in. He didn't realize he was there by himself, and he just tried to volley it, I believe. Missed the ball, and it kind of knocked off of his leg and kind of rolled to the goalie. That was another opportunity we had, which is probably, kind of how this game went. We had opportunities to score, maybe score multiple times. We just never got there, and we needed that spark of magic, and we didn't get it. But all in all, I think Martinelli, his play was It was good. I think he was surrounded by, some of the players that kind of bring down his form. So you can see him out there just sprinting up the left hand side, and then the rest of the teammates kind of jogging. I don't know. They just played at different speeds, and that was apparent today. I mean, when he's out there with the with the younger players and some of the what I would call our starting 11, he doesn't even look like he's out of place. He looked out of place today with his style because the rest of the team just couldn't keep up with him. So that was yeah. I said, what did I say here? I said playing with blah. And that's basically what he did. He was playing with, teammates just weren't at his level, which is scary because a lot of them should be. He needed some support and he didn't get it. All right, on to Pepe, the last of my pregame 5. If he was trying to fight for his spot, he did a really poor job of that today. At some points, I don't even know if he was on the field. He just kind of disappears, and there's no reason to. But I mean, I actually saw at one point William come up the right hand side and make a cross, and The only thing I remember Pepe doing after that is when the ball got to one of the defenders, instead of closing down on the defender, he kind of just gave way and let the defender turn and come back inside. That's some of those plays are the things that I think make a difference. You don't notice it, but you notice it when it happens, and when you don't notice it, you feel like nothing was missed. But there's those opportunities where we could have got the ball back, and he needed to do something special for us today. He just didn't. I mean, I don't even. There's not much I can say about what he did today. I felt like I was watching somebody out there. I didn't even realize he was on the field. And that's not good. It's not good for one of our forward players just disappear. And I felt like I never had much to say about him because I didn't see him either come get the ball or do anything with it when he did get it. Uh, so that's my pregame five. What I thought before and what I thought after, and then coming to the star of the show, or in this case, not so much my five. So my five of the game, and it's so I guess we'll see if this is a title for the show, but my five, not. That's kind of what I felt about this game. A little bit negative. I tried to find some positives in there. It was a hard game to do that. I think based on the lineup and structure and everything that was going on, it was a lot harder than I thought to try to find something positive to say about the game. I'll probably get to some of those towards the end here, just so we can leave on a good note. But it was just a really tough one. My five for the game were not so much. Were Arteta, the referee, William, Pepe, and Nketiah. That's kind of where I'm going to go with this. Um, I think Arteta had a really bad game in the way that he set up the team. Probably the structure that he used. I mean, if you looked at the lineup, I didn't see um, how we were gonna, how we were gonna use this lineup to win a game. I mean, we did have opportunities, but it just looked like we just didn't play the game style I expected us to. With the lineup that we had, I figured it'd probably be better for us to go with a back three, just because we just didn't have the attack that we usually do. We also didn't have the players that could do it, so why even try? I mean, going to the back three, I don't think is bad when your players can't perform the back four that you want. So what's the point of putting them into positions to where they don't succeed? And that's what I saw today. Players trying to do what other players on the team can do together, and we just didn't have that good cohesiveness between the 11 players to be able to do what he wanted. You looked at the bench, and there were some strong players there, but the one lacking thing I think was Emil Smith Rowe. It would have been nice to have him come in and maybe change things around when we needed it. We have, I don't. The changes that came in may have helped, but I think we just as a whole, the flow of the game just wasn't going to change that much when they came on. Um, Having Martinelli come off seemed really a negative play to me because he was the one shining light on the field. If he couldn't go the whole 90, then I understand why he was pulled. But if there was no reason for it, then he probably should have played all the way through, or maybe come out in the 80th minute. Maybe when Saka comes on, he would get a lot more time there. But that didn't happen. Uh, you know, what was the point of so yeah, Arteta just doesn't he didn't do well today, and he's probably going to get a lot of negative feedback from it. He did get to see Martinelli come back, so that was a plus. Gabriel, I think, still rusty, and part of me is upset about it, but also kind of have to be understandable. That's probably understandable based on where he was. His last couple of games were were negative games for him, ended with a red card, and then getting COVID kind of just adds on to it. So his form in terms of where he is right now and in his head probably isn't perfect. But I feel like he needs to get back in there, and they need to get him back to where he needs to be. So we'll see if he plays much more within the next two games. I think he should, especially if we're able to if we're able to get a lead. But we'll see about that. So that's Arteta as one. Next up is the referee. I think we didn't need help from him, but we just needed him to make some of the calls that I think you've seen in the past. I mean, just the one big thing that stands out is the handball in the box. I mean he's the I mean, the ball hits him on the arm. I thought it's just up to the, to the shoulder, to the shirt, which is considered a shoulder. But that, they could have made the difference. This is another one of those games, isn't it? The last time we had Lacazette get called offsides or something like that, or interference on the goalie, and we had a goal get taken away. This is the opportunity where a penalty kick may have made the difference for us, and we didn't get it. The other play that stands out is the simulation by the Southampton player. He isn't even, our defender's not even close to him. I think it was holding. He lays out like he got taken out. The ball rolls out of bounds. They get the corner. So we got nothing out of that. We didn't get no yellow card for simulation because he never got touched. I don't think Holding actually got a foot on the ball, so it just continued to roll and rolled out of bounds. But they got the corner. The one thing that stood out in that, and that's probably another thing that's probably more on the team, is when that happened. Are you telling me not one of those players couldn't have gone to the referee and said, "Did you not see one simulation, two, we never touched it, and how is it no foul?" If there's a foul, if that simulation in the box is a big thing, right? And we've seen it get called. So, it doesn't happen to us. And, can't blame it all on the referee, but those things made a difference for us today when we were struggling in other aspects and we just didn't have the luck go our way. A lot of fouls were called, against us, but not against Southampton, it seemed. But I think that's par for the course, I guess. But some of those two big plays made a difference, I think, in terms of the way the game was going, and we just weren't going to get it to go our way. All right, and mainly I'm looking for consistency, and if we get that, then it seems like we'll get equal calls both ways, and it just didn't seem like that today. But that's just probably one of the many reasons why we lost, but not the biggest one. My next my next person on the five is Willian. I guess many say we're done with him, right? He needs to move on. Today he comes in. I think they put him, behind Eddie, and he's meant to kind of help us with our attack. And the best attack I saw was when we were outside on the wings, nothing up the middle. That may have pushed the ball out to the wide areas, but nothing up the middle happened today, and probably easy to defend when they push us out to the sides. William didn't do much in the way of getting us, making sure that the offense looked good and we can actually get something out of the game. So it just, if you look at my notes, it just says nothing. We got nothing out of him, not enough, anyways. If we did get some, he didn't get subbed off, surprisingly. How is that? He just was not having a good day, and it would have been nice to have him come off, I think. Yeah. That was he just had a bad day. It's really not much more to say to that one. Another good day for him, and if we have to rely on him, I don't know where we can put him to get something out of him, and that's going to be, that's up to Arteta to figure out where the players need to go when they're struggling, because he was struggling today, or that is what he is, and we need to figure out something else. Next up is Pepe. As I said in my pregame 5, expected something out of him. If you look at my notes, it basically says similar thing to the William note. Got nothing from him today. Wasn't subbed off, so obviously that wasn't something that Arteta thought was a good place to go. Is to sub him off and maybe change things around. I mean, he could have changed multiple people, but not the ones I thought. Maybe they're not subbed off because they're not playing for the next 2 games. So we'll talk about that later as well. Pepe, if you're trying to get your spot on this team or be part of a rotation that comes in, when we need it, did not do a good game today. Did not have a good game today. And, I think Southampton did come with, they had Ings out there. They had Ward-Prowse. So they came pretty strong in that sense. But, the game was 0-0 essentially without our own goal. So the game would have been close. If we went to extra time, I don't know how things would have panned out because we still didn't have the one key that we needed. Pepe, yeah, just wasn't good today. Not good today, and I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be around too much longer, if he's going to make it through the summer, being on Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah, he, there's a lot of talk about Nketiah, Balogun, as far as our forwards and some of the things that Nketiah does well. He had opportunities to answer the call today. I mean, he got just at the end of the game. I mean, it's the last memory we have of Nketiah at the game was with not much time left on the clock. He gets the ball. It's just him and the goalie basically by the time he turns around and takes the shot, and it just flares out. It never had enough. It was never turning into the goal, and you know that happens. But he had opportunities before maybe to take shots, and that one is one that you want him to put the foot through it and made the goalie have to actually try to make a save. So that kind of epitomized kind of the game. For him, when he got chances, it just did not work out. Um, he got a shot earlier in the game, I believe, and the goalie was able to get a hand on it. So he did have some opportunities, but um, the hold-up play wasn't there, and that's probably true for a lot of what was going on outside of, I think, Martinelli. But hold-up play with the ball, we lost the ball multiple times, and that's telling when we're struggling. And Kedia, I think at some point, he's just too. I think he's just too short to be able to go up and get the ball when those long passes were coming in to stop. Could have Balogun done it? I don't know. Maybe, but may not find out that, may not ever see that. He needed to. Did he solidify a spot on the team? I don't think so, based on the way play went. But yeah, another game. That front three. I guess we'll see if it come. We'll see if that happens again. I'll be a little scared if it does, because that means we haven't learned anything from what we saw. That's kind of my five. Nothing good. A lot of negative there, and that's. I'm sorry about that. I'm smiling because, like I said, I smile because or else I'll cry. But it was a game to be forgotten. You know, like I said, we looked at the subs and we had Partey and Saka come on. So Nani and Martinelli coming off with Saka and Partey coming in seems a little questionable. When you bring those two on, you take Martinelli off. He's finally, maybe in this game, getting to play with players that maybe open up things for him. Not bringing Martinelli and having him play with Saka. How does that change their front four? And I guess maybe Arteta just did not want to do that because of the next two games, and maybe that's why he did it. But it would have been nice to see those two play in the game. And then later on, Hector Bellerin comes off for Laga. By that time, I think the game was pretty much done. I think a lot on the watch along basically had this game done, with like 20, 30 minutes to go, just because of the way the game was going. Nothing was changing. We didn't have anybody that was on that was going to make things look a little different. We don't have that spark. We have energy, but we just don't have that spark. And right now, I guess that spark is a Millsworth Row. So maybe this is the whole Odegaard. Hopefully, the whole Odegaard situation. I'm saying his name wrong. I know I'm mumbling it. Sorry, but if he comes in, I don't know if it's finalized yet or not. Oh, yeah, I believe it is. So he's going to come in, and now people are going to find out why we needed both of those players. Because in these types of games, maybe one Millsworth Rowe or him or Odegaard will sit, and you can have one on the field, and that's what we need. Players that can come in and make a difference, and those two can if it works out for us. Um, yeah, it was bad. I mean, yeah. The one thing that surprised me in this game as well was usually I'll bring up Xhaka and Hector Bellerin. I didn't really bring them up much today because when I do bring it up, it's a lot of negative, but I don't think they did too much wrong. I may go back and look at the review and see that they did, um, but they do what they usually do. Jacques is going to do a lot of things that he does, so those are to be expected. But we usually can overcome them with the players around him, and just did not get that. So they blended in, but I kind of know what they are. So unless they do something really drastic, like put the ball in our goal or score, it's hard to say I saw anything different from them that I hadn't seen before. Yeah, so that's how that went. I guess one last thing, I did go through the first 25 minutes of the game, and there was some good opportunities that we had there, but the best opportunity came when we kind of gave up the ball in our third. They were able to get the ball out to the right, shot in off our defender Gabriel, and in for the goal. I mean, otherwise we had probably more opportunities in that first half. I mean, if you look at the stats, they were equal in terms of shots on goal. Everything was kind of equal. It's just that we scored, and we scored and they didn't, essentially. So that's it for my five. I hope you enjoyed the little strange format that I made there. But I think that I like to do that. Probably look at the game, but look at the players from the lineup, figure out who my five might be for the game and what I want to see, and then see if it pans out, and then go with the ones that I actually see on the field. So hope you enjoyed it. This is Gary from DWT channel. You can check me out on Twitter and Don't Waste the Tweet. And come on, you Gunners. And as I like to say, life is a journey. Don't waste the trip. Enjoy the ride. All right. Thanks and goodbye.